welcome back. So, as previously promised, we're continuing this series called His Glorious Church, and we're talking about the words of Jesus. So, I'm building everything that I'm going to say from here on in this series is first founded on the words of Jesus. Okay? So, I'm trying to make sure that we have a foundation of understanding that we all can agree on, even though you may have different thoughts or perspectives. All I want to do is come and let us reason together. Let us establish some basic beliefs so that we can start to participate in the building of unity in the church. Now, am I going to be considering myself the be-all and end-all to the discussion? No. I'm just simply trying to help people that are new believers and those who are really enthusiastically pursuing understanding about what is this church all about and why should I be a part of that? So, and you whatever your circumstances are, you have this over and above all of that, you have the universal church of Jesus, which is everybody everywhere that believes in him. You can't argue against it. You can't, criticize it in a sense where you think you're better than they are. Wherever they are in life, they're there because the Lord has brought them to that place of understanding, or they're there in pursuit of better understanding. So let's try not to be too judgmental on where people sit, and understand that as long as they are believing that he is the way, the truth, and the life, and that the cross and resurrection, they have been saved. Let's start there on that common ground. Okay. So the last sort of section I'm doing here on the words of Jesus, and again, there could be so many other verses and examples that we're bringing forward, but I'm starting with the Son of God, the Creator, the one who was there before time, and I'm trying to give you evidence from his own mouth, rather than just creating all kinds of examples, which I know there are better people that are doing that, but I want to make it simple for both you and I, that we can walk away from this series and go, you know what? I feel enlightened. I feel refreshed. I feel like I can do this. I feel like he does care. Even through my imperfection, he does care. And he is walking with me. So here's the last sort of part of this section of the words of Jesus I'm going to highlight, and then we can move on in the series. And this comes out of Matthew 16, 13 to 20. Now, in many cases, I love to take scripture in its full context. You look at the setting of the book, the context of the chapter, who is he talking to? What is he trying to say? What's the overarching message? In this particular section, he brings the disciples to a certain place and he asks a very specific question. Because if there's one thing that the Jewish people at this time cannot conceive, they cannot conceive the concept of a crucified Messiah. It's just, that's one of the issues of Paul. Before he became Paul, he was Saul, and he was persecuting the church. And that was one of the major offenses and crimes against the religion, against the establishment, was a crucified Messiah. They couldn't understand it. Now, Isaiah talks about, Isaiah 53, that he was bruised for our iniquities. He was wounded, and that's that scripture where many Jewish people actually come to know Christ, is they use that as reference. And in many times in the New Testament, the speaker, Jesus, Paul, the disciples, they will use Old Testament reference to help put foundation on the new covenant of Christ. So come back to the scripture here, Matthew 16, 13 to 20. When Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" Okay, so who do they say I am? What have you heard? They replied, "Some say you're John the Baptist. Others say Elijah, and still others Jeremiah, or one of the major prophets, or one of the prophets." Which is fine. In their frame of reference, he could be Elijah returned. John the Baptist was more of a model of the prophet Elijah. But they're giving like these guys are of high respect in their society. So they're saying, you are this person in return, or you are like this person in who you are, right? So in verse 15, he says, what about you? Who do you say I am? Now he's looking at the people that he has spent time with, and they have seen who he is in action and by the fireside. He has spent time teaching him. Simon Peter, who had a very strong personality, he just pipes up, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. So for a Jew to basically confess this, they are basically going against all of their generations of teaching of the law and who the actual Messiah they were taught was going to be. They said he is a political leader, one who will come and right all the wrongs, and he will set up his kingdom, right? In a tangible way. I heard it said one pastor was talking with an audience, and he said one really great statement in relationship to the Jewish culture, the Jewish people, and Christians. He said, what the Jews are waiting for the first time, we are waiting for the second time. And that's how he described it. And I thought that was a very fair understanding. So Peter says, you're the Messiah, the Son of the living God. Verse 17, Jesus replies, blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah. For this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven. Now keep that in mind. And I tell you that you are Peter, which means rock, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades or hell cannot overcome it. So this section is always stated in that way, but he goes on to talk about, and I'll give the keys of the kingdom of heaven, whatever you bind on earth and whatever you loose on earth. Now, is it making the statement that he's saying that about Peter himself? I'm going to give you the kingdom of keys to heaven? Or is it possible that he's saying that what you have said, Peter, is the truth? You did not come by this on your own. This truth was granted or given and shown to you by your Father, his Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter on this rock. You are a living example of one who knows and understands the truth. That truth is that you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And Jesus saying, upon that confession of truth, I will build my church. That's the rock. It's not Peter, even though, yes, the history of Peter's ministry, he was one of the heads of the whole show. But the point is, Jesus is saying, upon your confession of truth, this truth will be the establishment of my church. That I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the Messiah, the one who comes to seek and save the lost, to set the captives free, to heal the blind, right? So I love that perspective on this scripture. And then, of course, Jesus goes on to say that you are Peter, on this rock I build my church, and the gates of hell will not overcome it. The gates of hell will not overcome, the power of the enemy will not overcome this truth that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of the living God. There's nothing he can do. He's a created being. Jesus is not. So, and then he says, I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Now, this has been quoted in a lot of situations or a lot of discussions or preaching about spiritual warfare, that we have the authority, right? Upon this truth, we have been given keys to the kingdom. So you can say, well, as a son of God, I have access to the kingdom. Yep, that's upon that truth. Jesus is the Messiah. um, the Son of the living God. Because we have been reconciled to him, we have access to the kingdom. We have been granted access through his blood and resurrection. Um, does it state authority? I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. This is taken in a context of spiritual authority and weapons of warfare. Um, I'm not convinced that that is a standalone value, a standalone bit of authority. I think it's a revealing of truth, talking more about you have been granted access to the fact that the truth is he's the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And there's scripture that talks about that. Jesus says, you can do nothing except through me, right? So, it's within his interest and his divine plan that we operate in power and authority. It's not through what we think, right? So anyway, that's another discussion. So then he ordered his disciples not to tell anyone that he was the Messiah because it would shake up. It's too early. We're not ready yet. He's saying, I'm revealing this to you to bolster your faith, to help confirm everything that you've seen and heard so far. This is the message that I bring, right? So this is now the truth that is the hinge point between Old Testament and New Testament. I hope that helps you. We're going to continue on, but please be at peace today. Go ahead and research this for yourself in context of the scripture, and by all means, feel free to reach out by private email or comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it really will help us out to grow and get these common sense messages out to people. I am looking for engagement, so all of your support is so much appreciated. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.